There's no real good training being offered by any companies out there. You have to learn by doing. So you join the business, you have no clients, you're not learning anything. You really need to be out there every day dealing with inspectors and having, listening to conversations with clients and building that network of not only client base, but with different contractors and service providers, understanding the workings of these contracts and these deals and the inventory and environments and whatnot.
Hey everybody, Patrick Merrill, selling the beautiful coast. Welcome to Lift It. I'm here with Ryan. Ryan, where are you out of?
Morristown, New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay. And you've been in real estate quite a while, hadn't you? Like 16 years or?
I think officially 13 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Now, are you originally from there?
Yes, I grew up in Morristown. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I was I went to Atlantic City once. So is that kind of close to where you're at?
It's like a 2-hour drive.
Oh, well, it's not everything. We actually been out there like 3 times with the casino, Harrah's or Caesars. I go out there sometimes. They'll give a free flight. It's like, why not? I actually went to New York the last time I was there, and I'll tell you what, that was like a 2:00 in the morning, train ride after train ride. That's the first time I've ever been on a train, but it was just, I love seeing how other people live and how they do things, because I would have never thought that like half the people in New York don't have driver's license, have never even driven a car,
Yeah.
It's like here, it's like, hey, 14, guess what? Learning permits coming up, then driving, that was like freedom,
Yeah.
How is y'all's real estate market there? Are y'all noticing anything in the last couple months or?
Really, I'd say a few months ago, it looked like we were starting to see things settle down and houses sit on the market longer. And then that kind of shifted. And now it seems like everything's going bidding wars again.
It's same thing here. It's like, we'll put something out there and everybody wants it. And then all of a sudden, nobody wants it. It'll sell or even sits, it's like it flies off the market.
Yeah. It's either a week or 3 months.
Well, I know, right? We're probably going to be slow today and tomorrow. We got that wind blowing through on its way to, I think, Texas or Louisiana. Thank goodness we're not going to get any of that. Now, I got to ask you, looking at some of your post on Facebook, the bear on your porch.
Yeah.
There's got to be a story there behind that.
So I just, my last name is Bruen. So our team logo is the bear. And, a little while back, I figured let me just start subtly including that in as much as I can as our little bit of a trademark.
I love it. And you got Big Hank too. The puppy.
Yeah.
So you got 2 kids?
Yeah, 3 kids.
3. Okay. Now, is your wife in the real estate also with you? Or?
No, she's sane. She's not crazy like us.
You definitely have to have we wear lots of hats.
Yeah. No, she'd be great, but we need someone stable in the family. She works in education.
Well, good. Very cool.
Yeah.
So give me a little bit like what extra do you do as far as going out of the way with your customers, as far as educating and things like that?
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of educating, so I do a lot of things extra in every aspect of the business. I'm big extra on marketing with my graphic design and marketing background. But in terms of working with clients, I'd say my approach to the way that I work with clients and help advise them is I'm never making a decision for my clients. They're the decision maker. My goal when I work with my clients is to get them as close to being able to make a decision on their own as though they had the wealth of experience and education within this industry that I do. So I take a lot of effort to explain all the details, not only explain all the details of how the transactions and the negotiations and the contracts work, but this should be a given, but to understand how these things work. I feel like a lot of my colleagues in competition don't even fully understand these contracts that they're working with and the nuances of the deal, of the negotiation. So while there's all types of training and classes and education that we take as agents, I don't take everything at what is presented to me. I take the time and the opportunity to read all the documents, understand all the legislation changes, and get a firsthand understanding of it, and formulate my own opinions on how to work with it, rather than just go by what is told and taught to me. I come across too many situations with other agents with, oh, you did it wrong, you're supposed to do it like this, or you're supposed to do it like that, and that's against the law and that's against the rules. And
Mm.
I say, well, what rule are you citing here? And they're like, well, I don't really know, but like, I've never done it this way. Well, just because you haven't done it this way doesn't mean it's wrong, and
Right.
you shouldn't just be going and doing what everybody else is doing just because everybody
Mhm.
else is doing
That's right. Well, in it, like me and math, math all through school, I hated math.
it. Mm,
I love math. I ended up working in the casino business for years. So, what are you going to do a lot of? Math.
yeah.
Everything. I dealt roulette. So you're talking so many different bets on the table and having to add all those numbers together. And when you're saying that, it's like, and I try to tell people that not everybody sees it the same as you.
No.
And even though they get to the same conclusion, they may have went a different route. Like mine was, I round up, and then I know, all right, 3 chips I got to take, say, $23 off of. I round up, and then I make all the extra little additions to take off.
Yeah.
And some people, it confuses some people, and they
Mhm.
do it the other way, which is backwards to me,
Yeah.
So I just don't. And in real estate, we go and no, not every transaction is ever going to be the same. I'm sure you've seen it all, and it's amazing. I still see things I've never seen, but most buyers are only going to buy or sell one house in their lifetime, and
Right.
like me and you, we do this, and all our other agents we work with, we do this daily, nonstop usually. And even when we're not thinking we're working on our phone and talking to people. It's like, man,
Oh, it's
I feel like I
nonstop.
worked enough today. It's like, but yeah, everybody sees things differently, and it's important that everybody kind of remembers that. Yeah, you can kind of read people. You see, okay, well, let me go back and see because she looked a little nervous. Let me go back and try to see, what gave her that question, on her face. I know you could see, wait, and this can be a very scary process.
Yeah, and
Honestly,
I'm
I mean,
finding,
it's a
I'm
30-year commitment.
yeah, and I'm finding nowadays I'm having to not I there's I feel like nowadays there's so many more opportunities to there's so many more different ways to structure a deal. I think while a lot of people are frustrated because things are more, I think it's more complicated. I think it has so many more opportunities of different ways we can structure a deal nowadays. But I'm finding myself having to, even when I come up with different deal structures that are more advantageous to all parties, buyer and seller,
Mhm.
I find myself having to thoroughly explain not only to my own clients, but to the other agents, to the attorneys, you name it, because, they're used to the old days where it was just, this is how it's done. And, now there's 20 different ways you can do it. You can work things to everybody's favor, but, if it's not following the old simple model, everybody starts getting confused, and then you have to explain it thoroughly to everybody. There's been times where I've gotten the buyer and I present an offer that, hey, we did it this way because it's the same for us, but it actually is better for you. And we figure if it's not going to cost us anything, we might as well structure it in a way that nets you more. And them coming back and saying, I don't like it. And I'm like, we
Right.
just made you more money. Well, I don't like it because I don't understand it. I'm like, we could have gone with the old way, but, you
It
know, we figured we'd help you out.
well, I'm slowing up because of my health issues. I've had 7 surgeries on my feet, and I got thinking a while back, it's like, all right, I want to stay in real estate. I love real estate. So I started rethinking the last couple of years, like, how can I restructure my business? So I'm learning that it's not, when I first got into real estate, I called it the pop-tart realtor. I mean, that duty phone rang, I grabbed it, I was out the door, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And, it's like I'm new, I'm eager, I'm ready, just raring to go. And I did that constantly. And I always still do that. But I'm learning, it's like, all right, It's kind of like pick my battles. What should I do? Where am I going to be better at today? How can I improve my business? And it made me start thinking, there's other ways I can stay in real estate and work and still show houses and sell houses. I may not be able to show 30, 40 houses on one day, but
Hmm.
I'm still good. And
Yeah.
I want to stay in the business because I really think, education, and I work with a lot of great agents all over. And that's kind of why I enjoy doing this. I love meeting people and working with
Yeah.
people. And this is definitely a place, and even the casino
Well,
business,
people always say, what's the best part about real estate? The people. What's the worst part about real estate?
they
The
don't shut
people.
up. I mean, it's so easy. It's like, I'll be walking somewhere, like one of the casinos, I still go over there. Of course, I worked there for 16 years, so I go over there a couple times a week, which I call it networking.
Hmm.
If my accountant would let me write it off as networking, it would be great. But after being there for so many years, I get a lot of my business comes out of there. And it's kind of one of those things, if you don't stay in front of them, they kind of forget you, you
But yes,
know, and that's easy to do. That is easy to do. What would you say, like right now, to a new agent? Are you taking on new agents? And you are with Coldwell Banker as well, I believe, correct?
correct. Yes.
Have you been with Coldwell the same time, or
Yes. Actually, a very long time. Not only my whole career, pretty much, but my grandfather owned a brokerage.
wow,
He sold it to a regional brokerage, which then sold to Coldwell Banker. So my family's been basically with Coldwell Banker since they came into the area here.
wow.
Yeah.
I like
So
Coldwell
yeah.
Banker. I mean, I like I said, but like office duty and stuff like that, I still think it's important for agents to go into the office. I really do. I learned so much at that table during lunchtime, sitting in the break room there than a lot of the classes I take.
Yeah.
You learn so much more because it's like you said, you can read it and then just look at it. But
Mhm.
if you're reading it and not practicing it, it's two different things.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. That's why I tell everybody, just get out there and do it. Girl the
Yeah.
other day.
I see too many new agents that just they sit in the office, they stare at a computer, get out there, shadow people, listen to, shadow good agents, listen to good agents. I don't care what brokerage firm you're with. Uh, None of the training is going to be sufficient. You have to get out there and
No.
see and do.
And that's the thing, like right now it's hot. I mean the mugginess, the humidity and everything. So this is why I'm doing my classes. C&E,
Mhm.
boom, because it's not ain't nobody really wanting to go look in 100-degree weather houses right now.
Yeah.
And then, so it's kind of like this is a good time to do more education. And I'll sit there and like read on it, but I'll listen to YouTube in the background. I love YouTube. It's letting me go places I've never been in the world, you know.
Mhm.
So education is really important. And like I said, I try to tell the agents, remember, we do this all day long. Most people once, twice maybe are going to go through the house process. So y'all insurance, we're on the coast. We have a lot of problems sometimes with insurance, the wind and hail and our flood. Are y'all having increases where y'all are that's affecting maybe like I'm catching it in my younger buyers, my first time buyers, because when we're
Mhm.
looking to keep them where they want to be, around 115, 120,000, for a single family, smaller home, that's still gonna put their note around 15 or 1600 a month. So
Mhm.
I'm having harder and harder times getting things for like that single parent, that individual, that fireman, the policeman, and all that. Because once we get to go and the insurance goes up a couple $100, and there goes our debt to ratio, and it's hard right now.
Yeah,
Either,
I'm not seeing insurance as big of a factor here. Not so much because of our location in terms of not being on the coast, but our price points are just higher. I mean, we're definitely seeing insurance go up, which is annoying,
yeah,
but it's not a noticeable enough percentage of the deal. Listen, there's plenty of other factors that are making these deals more challenging, but insurance, I mean, around here, a starter home, you're looking in the sixes. So yeah, the increase in insurance is annoying, but it's not getting in the way of a deal.
I
Mortgage
got you.
rates are getting in the way of deals. Home price increases have gotten in the way of deals, but insurance, no one likes for their insurance costs to go up, but I don't think it's really pushing people over the edge here.
Well, I got a refund last year, my truck insurance. That's the first time I think I've ever got a check back from the
No, I'm
insurance
not counting on
company.
that.
I was like, they actually lowered it. I'm like, wow, I was like, nice.
Yeah.
And that don't happen a lot. Now,
No, I'm not expecting that around here. Auto insurance is hefty around here.
your now with your new builders and stuff like that, did they offer extra incentives?
So we don't
For
have a
your
lot of new construction around here. We'll see a few townhouse developments, but there's just not enough land. If we see new construction, it's usually a one-off, not a subdivision, and we're not seeing really any crazy incentives. Like I said, one-off new construction. If it's a single-family house around here, we're looking upwards of 2-3 million. You know, there's really no entry level, no mid-market new construction. And then when it comes to townhouses, we see a few townhouse new construction, but same thing, those for the most part, they're at least 1 million. So it's not a market that needs any substantial concessions, and there's not a lot of new construction. So if people really want new
Right.
construction, they're going for it.
A lot of people rehabbing there, like taking some
Yeah,
of the
yeah, you
older
see a
and
lot of that. I mean, most of our housing stock, depending on the towns, most of the housing stock was built between, in the 50s and 60s. You see some in the 1920s, 1930s. You don't see much at all after 2000, here and there. But, anything late 90s, early 2000s, I would consider new around here.
okay.
Yeah,
Do
there's just no place left to build.
that we're running out of land. That's what everybody's saying. I've
Yeah.
been telling people for years, hey, it's the one thing they can't make any of anymore,
Yeah, and
So
if it's a single
sign
family
up.
house new construction, if it's a single family house new construction, it's somebody bought a house, knocked it down to build a new one.
Okay. Okay. What is like your taxes? Are
Hmm.
y'all high on taxes there as far as your homeowners? Like where I am is like 1,600 a year, which is not bad.
That's nothing. So I'm in Morris County. We're probably one of the lowest in taxes in New Jersey, but still relative to where you are, the rest of the country, we're way up. So, let's just figure. Let's look at a deal I was working on today. So we're looking about 1.2, 1.3 million, which is a 2,500 square foot, 4 bed, 2.5 bath colonial. You're looking at around Morris County, you're probably looking around 12 to 14,000 a year in taxes. You move to Somerset, you might be bumping that up to more 15, 16,000 a year. You get to Essex, you might be closer to 16 to 18,000 a year. Yeah.
A big difference. So it's
Yeah.
so interesting, how I mean, it's very interesting how different people and how they're structured. And like you're saying, y'all are doing townhouses, and here we're usually, single family detached homes here. Of
Hmm.
course, I will say the yards are getting smaller.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
I've
everywhere.
noticed that. It's like 16 years when I first got in, I was like, dang, y'all give us some good yards. And now it's like, where'd the yards go?
Well,
It's
they
like,
don't, they don't make the builders any money, so they'll squeeze that house
no.
in the smallest lot. People
And
want
it's
a bigger yard, but they're not paying more for it.
no, and that's the thing. Just to try to find land to be able to build something like that is everybody's having a hard time. I tell people if you can hang on to it, hang on to it. Just use it as a 401k. Pay the
Yeah.
taxes on it every year, because here, if you had land, your taxes would probably be, say, if you had 30, 40 acres worth about, I don't know, $200,000, your taxes are on it because it's just raw land is nothing, maybe eight or
Mm.
$900 a year.
Wow.
So if
Yeah,
you were
different
going
story around
to,
here.
well, and you could bust that up, when you got all that acres, you could bust it up and say, go with the developer to build it. But a lot of people really, it's hard to find anything with a good size lot anymore
Yeah.
in the cities, I should say. Of course, I call our cities spread out, so
Yeah.
to say. Now, how long on your sellers? So most of the time, if they're priced right, you said goes pretty quick. Y'all have a good buying market. Are you about even on that with the buyer seller ratio? Or
No, it's definitely a seller's market. We're light on inventory. So even when we see buyer demand dip a little bit, it doesn't really affect the market too much because we're still very much short on inventory.
oh, it's
Yeah.
good to know. Yeah, we we're getting a lot of properties that are coming back online, and I think that we're starting to get some of the repos from some of the banks, and that helps. But if the house won't qualify for the loan, it don't help.
Yeah, we're not seeing too
Luckily,
much of that because we're in such a competitive market here that we've been dealing with bidding wars for the last few years. So most buyers that we were dealing with in the last few years are putting substantial down payments or they're cash buyers because, if you're in a, so even now, I mean, listen, not every, if a house is priced a little too aggressively, it could sit for a few weeks. But, most of the houses that are in great shape, priced well, they're selling in the first week with, 4 to 12 offers. So, you're not winning a bid with 10% down.
no.
So what I've found in the last few years, most of the buyers are more overqualified. A lot of these buyers, 20% down has kind of been the minimum. I'm seeing a lot of people would put as much as 40 to 60% down, and then a good handful of cash buyers. So, you know, we'd have to see a big dip in the market to start seeing some foreclosures.
What as far as your buyers are, is it usually more local people buying, or do you have a lot of people coming there for work? Or
It's mostly local people. I mean, we're a great area. We're within a reasonable commute to New York City, but and depending on the area, and I deal more in Essex County, that's a lot more relocations coming out of the city. They have a couple kids and they want, a little bit, they need some more bedrooms and a yard. But then when you get to some of the other areas that I deal more in, like Morris and Somerset counties, most of the people are from the area. It's a great area. They probably went away for school and maybe lived and worked in the city for a little while, but you know, usually it's at least one of the family members grew up from around here that brought them back.
so we're on the coast. So
Mhm.
we get quite a bit of second homes, winter home, vacation home, and things like that.
Mhm.
And people like, well, come on, especially when they see some of the prices we have, they can't believe it. I can get
Yeah.
a house 1 block from the water for 200 grand. You know,
Wow.
yeah, there's not many places you can do that. And that's why I keep telling everybody. Pascagoula has, when they first started the building here, the shipyard, Ingalls Shipbuilding, they built what we call the little Navy houses, which were a little 2 bedroom, 1 bedroom, small houses, maybe 900 square foot, between 8 and 900. Well, those houses have been here forever. It seems like they've been through every storm. And
Mhm.
and those houses, people are buying them and adding on to them. Just about every one of them's been added on, but they're painting them up and they're making them really like cute little beach cottages.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are coming to the town and going, "All right, we've been missing this. We didn't realize we had all this right here." And I
Mhm.
can have a beach and still be below, $2,000 a month on a note.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that when we can get a lot of, and some of those houses when they come through as like a repo or just the seller said I'm done. A lot of times we can go in there and some of the people here will go in and just rehab them and fix them up and then put them back on the market. Because a lot of people don't want to do that process, but
Yeah.
they're happy to pay when it's done. They just don't want to go
Oh
through
yeah.
the headache, and especially if it's a second home, and they're in, I don't know, New York, they're like, I don't want to, just take care of it. I don't want to come over there and look at that and deal with that right now. It's
Yeah.
not
No,
that,
for
just
sure.
you pick the color, and it's like, so, but yeah, we get a lot of, and work, we have one of the biggest Chevron plants right here in our backyard. And, we still have the shipyard right here, Ingalls, and both
Mhm.
of those are doing very well. And we have a lot of industry. So Pascagoula, this whole little area in Mississippi stays pretty busy with people moving here for work
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
things like that. And it's conveniently located. I could be in New Orleans in a little over an hour, or I could be in Florida on the beach in an hour and a half. So it's pretty well,
Huh.
centered in the middle of everything. And of course, the casinos brought a lot of business here. Because I want to say we opened the Grand Casino Biloxi in 1993. It may have been 94, but I know I was there before we opened for about maybe 2 months training on property before the casino would actually open. I tell you, that was some amazing times. I tell you what, oh my God, it's what, if I'd ever went to Vegas, when I
Mhm.
was still dealing, I would be in Vegas. That just the atmosphere and being around all that energy, I'd go to work. I'm like, it's showtime, 8 hours, and I would get tunes in my head and I would just, 8 hours. I loved it. I loved the job. Of course, my body can't handle that, but it was
Yeah, that's a lot of
actually
standing.
bad. Well, it is. And I told somebody the other day, I said, no wonder I have problems with my feet. I have had every job I've ever had, I stood all day long.
Yeah.
Every job. Casino, Walmart, convenience stores. I mean, and I've had a lot of jobs, except for my paper route when I was 15. I got to sit in the car. That's the only time I think I ever had where I sat. And even I went to college to take drafting courses, and I kept getting in trouble because I couldn't sit in that table 4 hours. It
Mm,
drove me crazy. So I was like, this is not, I've got to be out. I can't do this. So the
yeah.
casino business was A plus for me, just the environment and everything is done for Mississippi on the coast. It's just incredible.
Mm,
I'm lucky to be part of that because it was such a unbelievable and all the people we worked with, it was such a didn't know hardly anybody.
mhm.
But people from all over. It was such a great job. That was such a great job. Now, don't get me wrong. I love doing what I'm doing, and my body would still let me do the casino. My
Yeah.
my planning was to maybe work a day or two at the
Mhm.
casino. That way, I could still, I can network while I'm at work and talk to
Yeah,
buyers and
yeah.
stuff like that. But I had one agent that told me, he said, "Look," he said, "either do you do it or you don't."
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And it's like, wow. As part of, I mean, because that was really day when our grand opening, the tips at the casino were fantastic. But that year of Katrina, we were rolling. I mean, it was a great
Yeah.
year. Everybody was doing good. All the casinos were doing good. I mean, the dealers, that was going to be a really big year for us. Well, Katrina changed those plans, but enough about her. So it's I don't know where I was going with that. I totally lost it. Let's see, is that rambling? I just talk too much. That's why I did say go to the casinos. But I really, it was a great time. And when I think about those times and I think about all the people I was able to meet, and doing that and having the people come back every year. And I still, every now and then, I'll get some old players will call me or Facebook me, tell me they're coming through, going to have lunch and stuff like that. And when I go to Vegas a couple times a year and I've tracked down, I think about 6 dealers that were from here and floors
Wow.
that, Katrina, like I said, when it trashed it, well, that's a lot of jobs. And there was
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
one casino I think was going to be opening. It was on Back Bay. It was the Imperial Palace. Was the first one they got going after Katrina. But you got to figure that's one property out of what 12 or 13 that had shut down because of everything. So that was it was a growing thing. But like I said, to be there with all those people was something I would never want to miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is great. It's great. But I like doing this. Like I said, I enjoy it. If you had an agent wanting to come into real estate or a couple, what would you suggest to them as far as where do I start?
I'd say you'd want to join a productive office with top producing agents, and you'd want to shadow them as much as you can. Listen to their phone calls, attend their appointments. Not necessarily asking them to give you work or give you leads. Just there's no real good training being offered by any companies out there. You have to learn by doing. So you join the business, you have no clients, you're not learning anything. You really need to be out there every day dealing with inspectors and having, listening to conversations with clients and building that network of not only client base, but with different contractors and service providers, understanding the workings of these contracts and these deals and the inventory and environments and whatnot. So you really just need to get out there, get yourself aligned with top producing knowledgeable agents and gain as much exposure as possible.
Like, see, I learned so much when I first started. My brokers, he was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And he said,
Mhm.
"This is a horrible market." And I said, "You said either I'm going to do it or I'm not."
Right,
And I
right.
said, why I was going with that with the casino earlier, because it was such a good year economy. I mean, to leave that money, they dress you, they basically feed you, you park in a garage, you work inside, heated and cooled. And like I said, they give you your uniform. So it was hard to leave that. steady income and just jumping out there and not knowing. But I'm
Yeah.
so glad I did because, like I said, everything happens for a reason. Things happen no matter what. And it's brought me to where I am today. And I absolutely, like I said, I'm happy where I'm at. I try to get with the agents, and I have a couple that I tell them, I said, I've learned so much just sitting back and listening. And you can do that as well with your buyers. When you're in those homes, if just listen. You can tell by that expression, if it's that or not. Most of the time when they walk in a house, it's like, this is my house. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, I tell you, I have enjoyed our day. Give us
Yeah.
a little bit of information so how people can contact you as well. And
Yeah. For sure. I'd say Instagram, follow me at handle is Bruen Real Estate, Bruen. And then you can also visit my website at bruinrealestate.com.
perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, I appreciate talking with you this morning. You have a
Yeah.
great day, and everybody stay lifted. Thanks for watching.
All
Bye,
right.
y'all.
Thanks a lot,
See you,
Patrick.
Ryan. Thank y'all again for taking the time to come along my venture with me. I am Patrick Merrill, and I hope you have been lifted. If not, let me know. We'll figure out a way. There's always a way. Thank y'all again for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Y'all have a great day.